And when I started them, first it's like, God, they're gonna kick me out, making the students meditate. What's that all about? Gonna have a religious problem or any, I don't know. And
Yeah.
it's timely as can be to do these things because 10 years later now, we really more and more need them. And the student body as a whole is very
Yeah.
appreciative of them.
Yes. Yes.
And
Yeah.
it's almost like I start like telling the one, I don't know if I told the class here too, because I graded the gratitude or the food journal first at Merced. And I was like, yeah, actually, I should create like a life hack foundation badge. You have some things under your belt that, because
Yeah.
you don't know that you do a gratitude journal for 5 days and it has an impact. Before you do it, you go like, I don't know about that, And I have in some ways the power to say, hey, if I put points on it, I'm gonna sort of push you to do it. You can always fake it, but we don't feel good about faking it, most of us. And so there's a little bit more of a push to do certain things, and we can gain the benefit and also as a collective, as a team kind of approach. It's also helpful to have all the discussions around it. No, I'm very grateful for it to be received well. And feel like building on it, also, of course.
Yeah.
Especially the gratitude, the brain stuff. I'm doing a art of life kind of year through this channel, YouTube channel, Levin There. That is a workbook that helps you focus, visualize, and then implement and create your best year ever, or whatever you want to call it. Sort of like be conscious about these things and not just live into the day. And of course, when we're students, we're kind of focused already anyway, and we've done some of that reflection. But I want to see, is there exercises I can extract that are like group exercises too? Because the stress and the thought are very, very powerful things that we do a lot with gratitude already and with the meditation type things. But I'm thinking there might be more in there that I'm missing right now.
Yeah, one of my big takeaways from this class will be the neurons that fire together, wire together, and how
that's a wonderful one. Yes.
Yeah.
That's a wonderful one. It's one of those, because that's the thing we often, especially that's why I wrote, I said, like, it's, you actually just, if you feel like sharing, share the stuff, it's really not that complicated, because a lot of things are camouflaged in complexity when somebody just says, oh yeah, I like this neuroplasticity stuff. It's like, well, what the heck does that mean? It becomes immediately a untouchable topic or package for so many. But when you actually say something like neurons that fire together, wire together, and you start explaining it, then what does that mean? Like, if the more you use something, the more, and then you can go into a reverberating circuit, and then it's not even that complicated.
For positive and negative.
Right, and that's the key, right? It's for both. That's why, like in a 12-step programs there, and that's another one, like the decreasing of what, but that's too much psychology for a class. But what influences us, that makes us resentful, that has us negatively influenced, where we were victims or something, but then it turns it around into how do we process that? Because that's the other side of sort of a clear mind on thought and not too much internal negative talk is sort of building down that portion and building up gratitude. Those are really powerful means to a nicer mind in many ways.
Gratitude is very powerful. Absolutely.
And somebody said, and it was, where was it? Oh, it was on a political podcast somewhere, and it was on Thanksgiving. It was like, it's an act of will, somebody said. I'm like, oh, I gotta write that down. Gratitude is an act of will. And then and that's how we, and that's why I was thinking a lot about a lot of people have a problem with the God concept, and it's part of psychologically, I realized it's like, it really came clear when this one guy was talking about breakups, and he said, for the brain, it's like you getting rid of cocaine. It's a deep, deep, deep thing.
Yeah.
people go down the rabbit holes like, oh, I saw them on Instagram, and then they start going, oh, my ex and all that. And you got to be a master of the brain. The brain needs a master.
Yeah.
Somebody then says like, nope, stop, don't go down that way. Let's go watch a movie and divert the thought, the child just letting it loose kind of energy.
Yeah.
And it's a very powerful thought that, you know, our brain needs a master somehow. And what is that? What is that? And then, you know, energies of that, you know.
I've heard it sometimes referred to the elephant and the rider. You know, your brain is an elephant that kind of does what it wants, so it needs a rider to kind of, you know, get it.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, I love that. That's I'm gonna start using that.
The
That's
elephant and the rider.
That's a really nice way of doing it.
Yeah.
No, I'm glad you had a good time with it, and it seems like a fair amount of the class did. I'm really impressed with the presentations. That was a lot of those presentations are getting just better and better.
Yeah. I haven't looked at all of them. I looked at some of them, but yeah, some of them are really really good for sure. Yeah,
I think next time I gotta do a little more hand holding or video tutorial of how to make the video thing, so that's a little smoother for some groups. Yeah, I'm still learning how to make it better. I'm also thinking of flipping it into an infographic, and then you describe the infographic versus a, you know, presentation thing. Because the infographic we can PDF export and have it tagged on to a video, and then people can download it, watch the video, and have it on their phone.
Yeah.
You know, so
Our
it's more that way.
Our biggest issue actually was that it was the week we didn't kind of what do you say, like
Thanksgiving week, was that the problem?
Yeah, right, exactly, that it was over Thanksgiving. We didn't kind of organize our time better. So
yeah, I can also, that's also a little bit of oopsies on my end. Some things work out well, and some things I could have, you know, no, but I'm extremely impressed with the quality, and I think that's one of the things that the student body now is, you guys are getting better and better with this newer world, with things like that, maybe versus, you know, memorizing words. Extraction factor is just different these days for all of us, you know. And and you know, it's interesting, you know, working on the pedagogical side of teaching, you know, and I always wonder how much do the students carry away of knowledge. But I think when we integrate the knowledge with real life stuff, then it sticks better in the head, and we can look it up again, right?
Yeah.
I feel like right to you when I say that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Versus,
what?
You know.
Sorry. What's pedagogical? What was that?
Oh, pedagogy, like the psychology of teaching kind of thing. Pedagogy is.
Oh, okay.
Like my pedagogical grandfather is the Swiss guy Pestalozzi, and he assured that in 1820, his goal was, and he pretty much got it, that everybody could read and write in Switzerland. And he was teaching, and he was talking that we have to teach from the head, with the heart, and with the hand, not just to the head. So we have to teach, and that was his language in the 1900s. And it means, you know, you gotta think, obviously, what we're doing, the learning material, but the heart is the buy-in, and the hand is the application. And if we make the three together, then we're getting somewhere in integrating the topic versus just doing theory, for example.
That's very interesting. Yeah.
I find it too.
Right.
You know,
the heart is the buy-in, and the hand is the application. Yeah. That makes sense.
Well, those are my words. Yeah. But you, like you because there's stuff like, how am I gonna make myself be interested in biochemistry? I mean, I worked in Claro School because the biochemistry teacher was a good friend of mine. So I'm like, I gotta be interested in this stuff and make it like think I'm not just blowing him off, you know.
Yeah.
And I'm not that kind of student anyway. I'm much more tedious and anxious, and, you know, I needed, you know, whatever. But I learned that if I can make myself Well, two things. I can make myself be interested if I'm really focusing on something and just do it. Then I start liking it if I get better at it. So that was very interesting as a discovery. And then the other one is like, when you have, we had like 20 to 25 units a semester or try whatever quarter. It was crazy stuff. And so I like, there's two mountains. One is the material of what I have to learn, and the other one is I don't want to do it. And they both take a lot of time. And so you got to start decreasing the one that's just the resentment one. It's like to save some time, or at least for me, because I study very slow, or, I try to be very thorough. And, so it's interesting, but if I start buying, mostly, especially the young people, I try to ask them, try to figure out what you like to do and what you're good at doing, because if you combine the two, you got some good gold.
Yeah. That's interesting. So how you teach must really be informed a lot by what kind of student you were or are,
Absolutely.
Like you say. Yeah, that's nice that you can be empathetic to, people who are slower to learn or learn different ways. And
I have pretty serious anxiety, learning disabilities.
Oh,
Yeah. It was very hard for me in school. Absolutely. And in school, I just went into overdrive because I thought, like, me, school? And so I gotta, and so that's why became really good at it, because I realized I like anatomy. I like this stuff. And I have my own big drive. My own drive is, my back is a shitty back. And it still is a shitty back. I came to America to get help for my shitty back.
Oh.
And I realized I have to learn to become a chiro then, but then now I realize I have to actually teach people, because my back is still not fixed. I still haven't been getting the therapies I do on people on my own back.
Oh, wow. Huh.
Because like one of the main techniques I do, I'm 10 years later, still the only one in California doing it. It's a muscle activation technique for it's really cool, but creates a big fire under my butt. Things,
Wow. So you can't get anybody to do on you what you do on your patients?
Well, no, I could go to Utah where my teacher is, but that's so expensive. I'm not doing that.
Yeah, wow.
And then here I go see a guy in Los Gatos who works on the Niners. He's really good, but he doesn't do that technique. Which is a stabilizing technique, which is what I feel like I really need. Yeah, no, it's interesting stuff, but there's definitely a lot of drive there because of those things, and educating the population about anatomy is really mostly came out of the thought and feeling. Well, when I realized I'm pretty good at teaching, or I have an affinity and I like it, was really about a health education class. And then because I taught first all the levels of anatomy at Merit, and then at some point they wanted me to teach the foundation class, because he said it's the hardest one to teach, because you got to really it's about the teaching versus the material. You have a wide spectrum of students. And so that became very interesting for me. And so it then became my own class, because the textbook that they used was a watered down version of a textbook that the 20AB class uses, the full year. And I didn't like the way that they left everything sort of incomplete. And like, no, it's a whole thing. It's not just a watered down version of already a text. You have to approach it from a different angle. And so that's when I started building my class.
Yeah, I actually bought the textbook that I thought was going to be for this class in the summer, because I wanted to review, because I thought I was going to be so far behind. So I have this anatomy and physiology textbook. I just got it used on Amazon. But the ones you made, so sometimes I was looking at those, but the ones you made were really good, and that was much more helpful than this textbook. So
well, it's an interaction question. I feel the textbook is a lot of text and then pictures. And when I went through the chiropractic school, I realized I didn't read the textbook. I read the picture captions and looked at the highlighted words because I have a very hard time staying focused when I read these difficult words.
Okay. Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
later on, I was talking to my head of my department at Merit, and he's a PhD, and he said, "Oh, when I read a textbook, I gotta have 10 highlighters." Or they didn't say 10, but I've got to use a lot of color because
Yeah.
it's so complex. And I'm like, dude, and then I have ESL students. I'm like, and then my own kid, who is now 27, they were in Switzerland learning massage, and during that period, I was doing the translation of the anatomy, and I was teaching them. And at some point, Dobby was saying, "Oh, I'm so stupid. I don't understand these words." And it was the functional muscle thing, the characteristic, elasticity, responsiveness, that kind of bigger words. And I was like, "Wait, my kid's not stupid."
Yeah.
and I realized it's like, wait a minute, why are we using words to describe a picture when we can use a picture, and what's going on in this body is kind of a picture thing. I can visualize it mostly.
Yes. Yes.
But then that was born from that in that way.
Yeah.
And I would like to make another version of it at some point because there's a few mistakes, but it's just too much work right now.
Yeah. No, it was great. It was very helpful. Mm-hmm.
Did you do the final yet? The last?
No.
Okay.
I figured there might be a little.
Oh, wait, we have somebody else on the call. Hi.
It's me.
Manny, I didn't see you. I'm sorry. I have a wrong week here.
I'm eating. That's why I don't have my video on. I'm good, Sam. I'm done.
All right. We're pretty smooth.
It was pretty smooth. And then you know what? I realized because one of the answers, I'm like, ha, I got that wrong. It's because the orientation, the very first class where we were, or the first week where we're just studying the cuts, like the views, anterior and posterior. I got the view wrong. So I answered incorrectly, but I could have got that point, but I was too fast.
Yeah, no, there is that, because some people haven't taken it. They're going to watch the video. So watch out, you guys. Don't go too fast.
You don't go too fast, and look at the picture.
And I think I gave you guys 3 hours or something.
3 hours, yes.
Plenty of time,
Okay.
And if time is a problem, send me a text. I have no problem because I want this. For me, a test like this is sort of the last combing over and learning maybe a little more, 1 or 2 things of clarity creation, and then we should be done. And that's why it's also an open book test.
Yeah. No, I enjoyed it.
Good.
I enjoyed the class. Thank you very much.
You felt like you learned something?
Oh, yeah. No, I learned a lot.
Good. Well, that's great.
So today, the instructor who always asks me to help set up her exam, I look at her exam sheet, and then she wants certain models at certain tables and certain bones and certain what. This time I didn't have to ask her any questions. So I was like, yay!
No, you guys, if you take this class fairly serious and have, and I know you guys have for sure, and most of you have, I know, because of what I'm seeing. I took the Bio 2 class a couple semesters ago to just partly to see, am I up to speed with everything? And you're going to have more slides, maybe more, that kind of stuff, or maybe a few more terms. But for the most part, you got a lot of foundation that is just a little filling in and then going through it again if you have to double up for your degree with a higher end of those classes. So you guys did great amount of absorbing new information, which means now you got to give the brain a little break, all right? After this test is over in my class, I want you to put it away. Don't burn it. Just keep it. And then later on, you can look back to it. But give the brain a little room to just do its own thing.
Yeah.
I know. Very
good.
important.
Well,
all
I have
right.
a second final on Thursday, so my brain will have to
do a
little this week. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it should be hopefully a fairly pleasurable experience. If you haven't done it, make sure you print out or if you can, either print it out or have it on electronic, what is it, the test review with the bullet points on it, those 5 pages. Because you can, most stuff, and then the term list, because the anatomy is multiple choice. So that's partly the problem. Don't go too fast because it's multiple choice now.
Yeah. Okay.
It's easier in some ways from a processing perspective. You don't have to question yourself that much. Mostly because mostly the way I do multiple choices, the ones I know for sure, great. The ones I'm trying to eliminate, the ones I know for sure are not the answer. And then it's at the end, it's probably a 50-50. And then I try to go through it again, make sure I really look at it. And then I make a decision. And then most of the times those are all right. So multiple choice has elements to it that aren't just about knowing or not knowing. It's also strategy to some point.
Yeah.
I always go back over it, but I'm a nerd. I'm crazy that way. That's just me. You don't have to do that if you don't want to do that. But yeah. All right.
Okay.
Well, if that's the case, then nobody else is coming. I think we're all good. Expecting everybody else to be good too. Post video in a little bit, and I wish you guys a wonderful holiday. And please, can you rate my professor?
Yes.
That's great. I will definitely.
Yeah.
I
will definitely do that.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you, guys.
Okay. Thank you so much. Have a great holiday. Bye, Vinny. Take care.
Happy holidays.
See you on the other
Bye.
side.
Thank you.